Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Let's start with Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Vistapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahigana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitancha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarivascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jagat Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhuri Mataji. Nice kirtan. Thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. So let's start our class, and thank you for keeping your cameras on. It really helps to have an interactive, more personalized class. We are all online. Next week also we'll have an online class, and after that we'll have face-to-face as normal, unless something else comes up. Okay, so everyone can see my screen, I hope. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So let's start from the previous week verses. We started from 3.5. Rupam Prabhu, would you like to do the first verse?
So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So 3.5, I'll start with the translation. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So, Prabhu, as we discussed, nahi kaschit kshanam api. So, kshanam is for a moment, kaschit is anyone. And then jatu tishtati karma krit. So no one can sit ideally even for a moment. And then further it says that karyate hya vasham karma. So the reason for that is and the reason for that is in the next one, which is sarva prakrite jair gune. So based on your modes of material nature, you will be forced to do something. So there will be there has to be some activity which the soul is going to do. So it talks about that as a soul you can't stay idle, and the reason for that is the soul, and the reason why you can't stay inactive is because you are born out of three modes of material nature. That's in effectively.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Just one quick question while you're discussing for everyone's benefit. So who is responsible for this inactivity? The modes of material nature or the soul? Because we are saying modes of sarva prakriti jair guna here. So it's born out of modes of material nature. So is it modes of material nature are forcing us to do?
No. It is the desire of the soul.
Thank you. So it's a desire.
The soul is active by nature.
Soul is active by nature. Huh? So it's a soul's innate nature to be active. It's not modes are forcing us to do. What modes are doing? What's their role?
It provides the facilities
Provide the
in order
facility.
to accomplish those desires.
Thank you. A child can desire, to reach on the top of the laddu plate, which child cannot reach. Mother understands the desire, and mother provides the facility to bring the whole plate or give a laddu or two to the child. Child doesn't have that power. Child can desire, mother can read the desire. So it says modes of material nature provides the facility to fulfill the desire, obviously, if you deserve. So you only get what you deserve. So you can desire so many things. If you don't deserve, obviously, modes of material nature will not facilitate. But the point is, soul is active by nature. It's not modes are forcing us to do anything. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Jai Prakash Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Would like to do 3.6.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One who restrains the senses of objects but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So we discussed on even if the senses have been externally tried to control, but if mind is still dwelling on the sense objects, that means he has not really achieved the perfection. He'll be still deluded, or he'll be called as a pretender. And we have also discussed Jnanesha, which like seeing the eyes, Jnanendriyas, like seeing eyes, smell, touch, taste, and similarly the other like hands, legs, and genitals, which are karmendriyas. So all these can be engaged, but the mind is, which unless until mind is put under control, it can still delude. So one ideally need to fix the mind with obviously Lord's mercy, then only he can achieve the perfection. Otherwise, he is not a perfectionist. And pretender, even though it's been mentioned, and also we discussed, there is a clause like if a sadhaka is sincere, he might be a struggling sadhaka. So even initial, like he might not be able to completely have his mind fixed, but still he is on the path of slowly, gradually able to have his mind fixed on it, because even in chapter 6 we discussed like controlling the mind is not that easy. So gradually with one's own sincerity and Lord's mercy, he can get to that level. And we discussed an example of Kadamba Muni and was worshipping Krishna for a good wife, and finally with Lord's mercy he managed to get that wish sanctioned. And one just need to be sincere and honest, and that way even he's a weak devotee, but he will be able to gradually overcome and accept whatever the misgivings or faults he has got, and gradually he'll be able to be a better devotee.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. So what's the relation, anyone else can say, between previous verse and this verse, 3.5 and 3.6? Anyone? What's the relation? So if I read 3.4, sorry, 3.5.
So in the previous verse, we are saying that as per the soul's nature, we always have to be active.
Yes.
Whereas here, when we are doing that action, how first thing is like how we have to control our senses, karmendriya, how we have to apply our senses into in a controlled manner. So that is the relationship here, Prabhu.
Yes, but it just should not be just an external change. External change means I put a garb of a sadhu or a sannyasi, but internally I'm actively meditating on the inauspicious activities, actively meditating. And many people in today's society are doing it. And that's why so many people have lost the faith in sadhus. And it's not wrong, because so many sadhus have become cheaters. They have the garb of the sadhu, but they are actually doing all the nonsense activities. An example comes in Shastra as well. Anyone remembers an example of in Shastra, say primarily Srimad Bhagavatam, where someone was having the garb of a sadhu, was doing very inauspicious activities from Srimad Bhagavatam. sure everyone knows. When I will say, you will remember. Ah, I just remembered. So Prithu Maharaj was performing the yajna and Indra came as a sannyasi. Everyone knows that pastime, right? So Indra came as a sannyasi and he stole the horse, not once, multiple times. And his son, Prithu Maharaj's son, was going after this person to kill him. But then when he saw the garb of a sadhu, he could not shoot the arrow because he thought, oh, he's a sannyasi. How can I shoot the arrow? And from that point onwards, the Pakhand Dharma, the Kaitab Dharma, the cheating Dharma sort of started. So Bhagavatam explains that. So many people are doing it. They take the external garb of a sadhu just to make a livelihood or gain prestige in the society, but internally they are hankering after money and women. That's what Prabhupada said. So that is what is called a mithyachari. But as Jai Prakash Prabhu said, not a struggling sadhaka. His goal is pure, but at the moment he is not able to control fully. But while he is following the process with the mercy of Vaishnavas, he will be able to do it. So he is not called a mithyachari, although he is also seems to be failing. Okay. Another example comes in NOD from unripe mango, a green mango, to a ripe mango. So we are all on the path of devotion, but we are not a perfect devotee as yet. We are struggling sadhakas, but we are on the path of pure devotion. Our goal is pure. So we are like unripe mangoes, but we will become ripe mangoes in due course of time. Okay, it's a very, very important verse and very practical verse actually. Okay, 3.7. Vinay Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Just 1 second. Yes. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active sense by the mind and begin karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So in here, they say in karma yoga, they're like ashokta, in the attachment, and otherwise detachment. Engage your mind as a different way. So, and as per Shastra, that's why you just you give the example like street sweeper is a better than a potender sannyasi. So that's why we have to be like pure way. We have to do the just action, the karma. That's why the is Jatu Indiani Manusha and Niyamo Aborte Arjuna Karmandriya Karma Jogam Ashakta Shabishishate. So that's the thing, Uji. Like we can do the action, but detachment way. We cannot be attached much.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. And another point which you mentioned. So mind and begins karma yoga. So not only engage the senses, you're engaging the mind. And as Prabhupada writes, in Krishna conscious space. So you are able to engage your mind. You cannot make your mind wide. So Krishna conscious, as Prabhupada says, much better way, because your mind cannot be wide. But two important points are mind has to be engaged, not just the indriyas, karmendriyas, and without attachment. So we are not working for the fruits of the actions which we are performing. We are working for the pleasure of the Lord. Very high stage. We start obviously from the fruits in the beginning, but slowly as we purify ourselves, we start acting purely for the pleasure of the Lord. Okay. 3.8. Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So, Prabhuji, here it is saying that we have to be engaging ourselves in our prescribed duties. So we should try to stay like we cannot attain spiritual knowledge, like, you know, and otherwise we're just acting like, you know, as animals. So we should stay as at least on the earthly planet, as you mentioned last time. Otherwise we're just acting as animals and cannot attain the spiritual perfection. So sharira yatrapi, we need to do activity. We cannot sit in one place, stay idle. Even you mentioned an example of Kumkan. He had to wake up at least once in the year, else you know, the mind will get disturbed. So he had to do that. Yeah, that's what I have.
Thank you, Mataji. So just take a few seconds to go. So niyatam refers to, here is Prabhupada, prescribed duties. So niyatam comes. So many times you will read the word niyatam. It can have two meanings. One is the prescribed duty. Another one, niyatam. Anyone else? Regularly. Nityam, niyatam, satatam, all that. So they may have similar meanings depending on the context. So niyatam kurukartam. So what Krishna is recommending to Arjuna? Niyata karma, prescribed duty. So you're a Kshatriya. For you, Tvam, very clearly spoken verse. As I said, some Bhagavad Gita verses are verses for principles. They establish a principle, like 1866, establishing a principle. 1865, Manamna Bhavmad Bhakto. It's not an instructional verse, but some verses in Bhagavad Gita are instructional verse. They are given instruction to Arjuna directly. And many times we all read Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, we get so many principles, but when it comes to our life application, we get confused. And that's why we go to senior devotees or spiritual master and say, Maharaj, what should I do in this particular situation? And then he may give that instruction that in your situation, you do that way. So here Krishna is saying, Niyatam kurum. So you, Arjuna, you do prescribed duties. Karma jayo hi akarmanaha is better than. Jaya is refers to better. Jaya word is also used many places, especially in this chapter. Akarmana is better than akarmana. Akarmana refers to here is inactivity, not activity which produces no reaction. We will read this word again in 4th chapter in a different context, in different meaning. 3rd line says Sharir Yatra. Anyone remembers the other things we discussed close to Sharir Yatra?
It is the journey of the soul from material body to the spiritual body. If Prabhupada said, he said that at least we should do we should earn so much punya that we at least retain this human body and not go to the animal planets or any other planets.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. It's like we have Vrindavan Yatra, Mayapur Yatra, we have Sharir Yatra. There's a purpose of Sharir. And what is the purpose? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Animals also do that. So that's not the purpose. That can be the part of life, and that's okay. We all have to eat, we all have to sleep, we have to have a place and all that things, but that's not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is doing bhajan and attain perfection in bhajan. And there can be different synonyms of this word bhajan. Anyway, so we are all in this yatra, and while we are in this yatra, we cannot maintain our body just for the maintenance of, without doing any karma. We have to do karma for the maintenance. Like Narad Muni, he doesn't need to eat or sleep. He doesn't have to go to work and pay the rent or mortgage and all those things. So his body is transcendental, but we, in this yatra, we have to do certain activities. Even when we go to Mayapur Yatra with His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, 5,000, 10,000 people, they also eat prasad, they also take rest. They do all the basic activities, but in a minimal way. And the majority of the time, what are they doing? Bhajan, Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam, Krishna Sankirtan. So, Sharir Yatra Pichatena Prasiddhyad Akarmanaha. Prasiddhyad refers to is effected, is achieved. Okay, next one. We have Jamvati Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I was a bit late for the class.
No problem, Mataji.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay.
I can do the latter ones if you like.
That's fine, Mataji. Kanika Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Work done as sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondages in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So Prabhu, in here, so if I take the second line, which is loko yam karma bandhana. So agar hum karma nahi karte rahenge, and just the prescribed duties jo work jo hum material work karte rehte hain just for our own material benefit, that leads to karma bandhana. So that basically, as Prabhupada says, it leads to bondage, and therefore so the third line is tad artham karma kaunteya. So Krishna is saying, therefore, O son of Kunti, you shouldn't be doing that, but what you should be doing is the first line, which is yagna arthat karmano anyatra. So we should be doing yagna karma karni chahiye, aur kya karenge anyatra, otherwise. The second line follows, which is material bondage. And what happens when you do yagna artha, that's related to the fourth line, which is the mukta sangha samachara, which is basically that leads to that association helps us to liberate from the sangha or the material bondage of this material world. So that's how the four lines are connected. Now, yagna ka matlab can be a few things. So yagna means principle, yagna means Vishnu, which is given here. So anything that we do in our material life can be actually yagna also. So in a way, if our work, our life, eating prasadam, everything, if we relate it back to Vishnu. So therefore, it's not just performing yagnas like what the saints and all do, but everything that we do in our life, we can actually make it a yagna for Vishnu, and that will actually help us with the fourth connection, which is the mukta sangha samachara. So that is what I remember, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very nice. Mataji has aligned all the lines perfectly. This is how we should try to understand the verse as much as possible. So then we don't have to cram it, and verse becomes very beautiful, and it's very easy for us to apply as well in our life. As Mataji said, the relation between 3.8 and 3.9 is this lokoyam karam bandhana. So Arjun here is asking a question. Okay, you are telling me to do activity, but if I do activity, it will cause me bondage. So Krishna says, no, it will not cause you bondage if you do the activity for yagya artha. If you do the activity for swarth, in Hindi there's a word called swarth. Swarth means swa artha. Swa means mera, mine. Artha means hetu, business. What's my benefit in this activity? When I go to someone's house, I see how they are serving me, and when they come to my house, what gifts they are bringing for me. मैं आपके घर आऊंगा तो क्या क्या खिलाएंगे, आप मेरे घर आएंगे तो क्या क्या लाएंगे. So it's all about me. So if I doing me, I will be frustrated. I'll be frustrated because people may not act as per my desire. They are independent. They have their own desires. So, but if I'm working for yajna, I'm working for the sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, then every activity can be dovetailed in a very beautiful way. And in every situation, no matter what happens externally to me, I can be very satisfied and traptaha inside. It's also very nice verse. Yajna is a principle which we need to perform in every single activity. That's why the devotee's life look like a similar lifestyle as a person living outside. He also goes to work. He has a house, he has a family, he has a car, and he has his tap leaking in the bathroom. He has to fix all those things. Those things are there, but still his life is a principle of sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. He's not just living life for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. He's living life for a purpose, and that purpose is Krishna's pleasure. So because he's living for that purpose, although activity is similar, but his existence becomes very auspicious. And although he's doing a similar activity, he still goes back to Godhead while he's performing all the family duties. Okay, 3.10. Who's next one here? Divya Mataji, Hare Krishna. Okay, she may not be here. Mohit Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Well, I'm just driving. Can I
You're
do
driving.
another?
Okay.
I'm just training food for life. We'll be in temple soon, so I'll do it at home.
That's okay, Prabhuji. I'll talk to you later. Let's go to the first one. We have Sumit Prabhu and Sonia Mataji. Any one of you?
In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagna." because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Okay. So in this we were talking about the prescribed duties, and the Lord of creature is Vishnu, the primary creature, and the secondary creature is Brahma. And we also mentioned that Lord as the protector, and Shripati as the Lakshmi Pati, and over this in you want to add on to it?
Yeah, so the words that we picked up, Prabhuji, was Prajapati. Again, in Prajapati, we said that it could be, Prajapatis are like Brahma, Daksha, and all, but Brahmaji is the lead Prajapati there. And like Sonia just mentioned, Brahmaji is a secondary lord of the creatures. The primary lord is Vishnu, and he's also known as the Shripati. Again, we also mentioned about the Ishta Devtas and Kula Devtas that we have, that we worship. I'm not sure if we can say for us, all of us here in the Sydney Yatra, Radha Gopinath is our Ishta Devta. So because we worship Radha Gopinath, all of us. And again, the other word we picked up there was Thuk, which was bestower who fulfills the desire.
So just, yes, Mataji.
In this age of Kali, they mentioned that people who are with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, and they will all do the Sankirtan Yagna. So when we are hearing about Bhagavatam, and in this class also, when we are reading about Bhagavad Gita and meditating upon Lord Krishna, this is also a part of Sankirtan Yagna. So this is all done for the pleasure of the Lord as well.
Thank you, Mataji. Just one or two more points I wanted to add. So what's the relation between 3.9 and 3.10? Anyone else? Mataji and Prabhuji has explained very nicely, just establishing relationship, because we need to know the thread of the verses.
Prabhu, in
yeah.
3.9, Prabhu, Krishna has been talking about karma yoga. So, you know how he has been saying, obviously we know karma yoga related to also bhakti yoga, how at utmost that should be the desire. But here he says, now if you can't do karma yoga, what is for those people who can't do it? He's giving an option of doing from here karma kanda. Will start, Prabhu, from 3.10 onwards.
Thank you very much. So now we are starting a section where Arjun is saying, if I'm not ready for karma yoga, what do you want me to do? So Krishna is saying, you do karma kanda. So now here we are starting the sections from 3.9 onwards, where we're talking about karma kanda. Karma kanda refers to, so we have karma yoga, we have karma kanda. Anyone? Karma kanda. They are Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. They are from the Vedic books. They are completely valid. They are religious, but they only take us to the higher levels in this material universe. That does not take us out of the material universe. So someone for performing yajna for Lord Shiva to get wealth, going to Parvati Mata to get wife, or worshipping even Aditya, sun for the sun, for a progeny, and all those things. They are called karma kanda. They are not wrong activities, but they only consider a pious activity, which gives a pious result. So someone does a sacrifice and they get a particular result. They're called karma kanda. So karma yoga, if you're not able to do karma yoga, you're not able to detach yourself from the fruits of the actions, what you should do, at least do karma kanda. Now in the karma kanda section, he started the word yajna. So in 3.9, the word yajna was used, right? Yajna arthat karmano yatra. So the principle of yajna was established. Now he's establishing the glories of that yajna, what you can achieve through that yajna. Because any products you want to sell, you need to tell the qualification of the product. What are the different features of that product? So he's recommending yajna. So he's telling about the yajna. So what does yajna do? It's a very nice word here. Ishtakam. Ishta means whatever is your desire. Innermost desire. Actually, you can achieve your innermost desire by yajna. Now, we are not talking about the bhakti and pure devotional service as yet. This section does not talk about that. So if you have a desire, someone was talking about wife, Kardam Muni, for example, there's so many examples, Dhruv Maharaj for money and all that, right? So whatever your innermost desires are, that can be fulfilled through the process of Sahayagya. So praja means all the citizens, how they should be living. Sahayagya, they should be living with yagya. And what yagya will give? Basically ishtakam. Ishtakam is whatever ishtakamna is, whatever innermost desire is, that will be fulfilled through the yagya. Is that clear? What section we are in and what's the thread of the verses 9, 10, and what's the theme here? Talking Karma Kanda here. Whatever inner desires are, that will be fulfilled. If you want to live happily, perform yagya, sahayagya. And Prabhupada is, be thou happy by this yagya, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable. It says everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation, which is obviously the fourth step in that 4 Purushartha. Now, for bhaktas, obviously, there are 5 Purushartha, Pancham Purushartha. We're not talking about Pancham Purushartha in this section here. Okay, thank you. 3:11. Vijay Gopi Mataji or Sanand Prabhu, anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you. 3:11 translation. The demigods, being pleased by the sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigod, prosperity will reign for all. So as you already said, Prabhu, so this is a section talking about how our desire can be fulfilled by worshipping the demigods. So verses 11 to 14 is going to talk about this, and this verse is telling that by doing sacrifice for demigod, they will be pleased and they will also in turn please you. So that's the cooperation between the men and the demigod. So the words used, Deva and demigod and Bhavyate, having pleased through Anena, by this sacrifice. Parasparam, that is mutual benefits is happening. So Bhavyate means pleasing one another. And Shreya is benediction, what the benediction we get out of it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. So the basic word here is bhavyata, bhavyantu, and bhavyantaha. So all refers to pleasing. And it's sort of mutual relationship. So I do yajna for a demigod. For example, Indra yajna, a simple example, and Indra was satisfying the needs of Brajavasis in terms of rain. Just within that context, they are reciprocating with each other. So Devan Bhavyatanina, so if you try to please the demigods, Te Deva, those demigods, Bhavyantu Vaha. Vaha means the person who's performing that sacrifice. So this is mutual, Parasparam Bhavyanta. So they're pleasing each other. So that principle can be applied even in our general life. Wherever you are living with your neighbors or in a society, in a circle, if you want to happily live with each other, what you have to do? Some sort of mutual cooperation has to be there. You cannot be just on your way all the time. What do you say in English? Your way or highway, something like that. My way or highway. My way or highway. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That may work for some short period of time, but if you want to live happily for a long period of time, long sustainable relation, we work on a mutual relationship. You work in a job. Your manager may not give you the most perfect project, but you work with it. And sometimes we do some other activities while work. And all those things happen because mutual cooperation has to be there with authority. And when you're working mutually, and in this case, obviously, devas are in mode of goodness. So they are not looking for mode of passion and ignorance things. Sometimes I'm just remembering one thing in Bengal and in many parts of the world, they offer some non-eatables to Mother Durga. But Durga ji actually is a Vaishnav Devi. She's a Vaishnavi. She's a great devotee of Lord. She never ever accepts all those uneatables, which people so-called offer and then they eat. Radha Govind Maharaj tells a beautiful pastime. One Brahman was there in a village. So he used to offer a goat every Amavas or something. Anyway, so one day on the Amavas, he was going alone. So one of his neighbor asked, so why today you are not carrying the goat? Today is Amavas. Today you usually sacrifice. Why are you not carrying the goat these days? So he said, what can I say? My teeth are not there anymore. So this neighbor commented back on him. He said, I thought Durga Devi was eating the goat, not you. The whole life he was sacrificing for whom? For himself, on the name of Durga Devi. So this is what the situation is Durga Devi never accepts, but on the name of Durga Devi, they still want to prove, justify their actions. So what they do, they take the garb of the scriptural injunction that Durga Devi likes it, and I'm just taking prasad. So if you're taking prasad, if your teeth are not there, it doesn't matter. Durga Devi still has the teeth. So many people in many parts of the world, they do that just for the sake of doing that activity for their own sense gratification, not for the purpose of pleasing demigods. Demigods are all in mode of goodness. Huh? Sometimes they perform some actions which are not so in mode of goodness, as we read many things about Indra in Srimad Bhagavatam. But Banu Maharaj was giving a class in Sydney Temple once, and he was saying, actually, those actions are very, very abnormal. They only happens rarely. That's why they are mentioned. And why they are mentioned, the purpose is not to criticize Indra or Brahmaji, is to take lesson. Even the people sitting on that position can make those mistakes. So we should be very, very careful. We should never criticize demigods. That's not what Krishna likes. But the examples are given so that we can learn. Even Indra can get attracted to, say, Ahilya, for example. So who are we? Vasishtha Muni can get attracted to wealth. We read in the 11th canto of Nimi Maharaj pastime, Vasishtha Muni went to Indra to do a yajna. So Nimi Maharaj, if you don't know, Nimi Maharaj had his Kul Purohit Vasishtha Muni. So he said, Nimi Maharaj said, Guru Maharaj, I want to do a big yajna because I don't know when I can do it again. But right now I'm healthy and I'm wealthy and I can do the yajna. Please perform the yajna. But same time, Vasishtha Muni had an invitation from Indra to do yajna. So Vasishtha Muni told Nimi Maharaj, I will go to Indra for the yajna and I'll come back and then I will do your yajna. So Vasishtha Muni left to Swargloka to do the yajna. Nimi Maharaj, thinking my life can finish at any moment. He was a devotee actually. So I should not wait for my Guru Maharaj. So he hired another priest and he performed the yajna. So when Vasishtha Muni came back, he saw, oh, Nimi Maharaj, my Yajaman, has already done the yajna with another priest. So he became very angry and he gave curse to Nimi Maharaj. You don't respect your Guru, so your body will disappear. So Nimi Maharaj said, you're also not pure. You went to Indra, you know why? Because you wanted more dakshina. Because Indra is going to pay you more money. So you went to Indra. So even Vasishtha Muni, in one instance is spoken, was attracted to wealth. Indra attracted to opposite gender. So these things happen. Brahmaji got attracted to Saraswati Devi. So these instances are told, they are extremely rare, but they are told for our purpose, not for us to disrespect demigods. But it's just told how strong is the material energy of Krishna. Everyone gets attracted to that. So we should be very, very careful. Huh? So Parasparam word is very, very important with cooperation. And what will happen? Shreyaha. You will get Shreya. Not Preya, may not be Preya, doing yajna, doing some sacrifice for Radha Gopinath in terms of time, in terms of energy, in terms of money. It can be difficult, but what you get out of it, Shreya, long-term benefit. We get purified and we come closer to Krishna. That's why we keep doing the sacrifices. You ask devotees, what do you do on the weekend? They cannot even explain in few words. They will take like half an hour to explain how busy their weekend was. Monday evening, ask, no problem. Today I'm going to bed little early. So we are very, very busy and it's not difficult, but it is difficult, but still we do it. Why we do it? We know this is Shreya activity. It's a long-term beneficial activity. We are contaminated. That's the only way we can purify ourselves, and we keep working towards it as much as our capacity allows. Okay, next one. 312, where I was. Okay, Rakvi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
In charge of various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by performance of yajna, will supply all the necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So here, so what they are saying is, if you perform, there are different yajnas to satisfy different types of demigods, and if you do them, you will be best. You will be rewarded with whatever you want. But if you don't, but if you are not acknowledging that, then you are stealing. But you are because you are not paying that. you're not offering them. So to the you're not acknowledging, but you are enjoying the gifts without acknowledging it. So that's why you're a thief. Because if you, this is for the people who are on the materialistic level. For the people who are already praying to Krishna, they don't really have to do all these things, because as devotees we offer everything to Krishna before we eat, before we do anything. So so in one way we are doing it. So because at the end of the day, even if you do to demigods, it will eventually go to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. I'll just pick up some Sanskrit words. It's just a little bit closer to the verse, although what you have explained is perfectly correct. So, Ishtan Bhogan Hivo Deva. So, these Devata will provide you Ishtakam. If you remember from the previous verse, Ishtakam, your innermost desire, you can say, and they will give you Bhoga. Dasyante. Dasyante means to give. Dasyante. This word is also used in Bhagavad Gita many times in Bhagavatam. Dasyante. You can try to remember this word. Yajna bhavita. So bhavita is by pleased with the yajna which you have performed, they will give istan bhogan to you. So whatever your innermost desire says, after getting pleased with your sacrifices, they will give it to you. But if you don't do, now what's the principle here? Many times Krishna is telling the positive as well as the negative. That's why Bhagavad Gita is called the book of choices, not the book of commandments. Chaitanya Prabhu says this. So it's not a book of commandments. You should not do that, and thou shalt not lie, for example. No, Krishna says, if you follow the Shastra, you will get this way. If you don't follow, you will get that way. Now you decide. Even after speaking whole Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asked Arjun, now you do yatheshasu tatha kuru. Whatever your ichha, whatever your desire, do that way. Krishna did not force Arjun. You must fight because I have told you. In India, many times in the families, elderly people, they say, you must do this because I am telling you. And when the children ask question back to their elderly parents or grandparents, they don't have answer. They don't have explanation. I can do, but you should not do. I can smoke cigarette, but you should not smoke cigarette. So these things doesn't really work. You see here, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is giving us choices, because this is the best way we can love each other. We can reciprocate, we can respect each other, not by force, just by giving choices, and whatever choices this person takes, and he will bear the consequences, maybe positive or negative. Many times people choose the wrong path. So Krishna obviously is opening both paths. He's saying, if you do not do yajna, so the tan aparadebhya. Aparadebhya means without giving. So if you don't give in yajna, yo bhungte means bhogna. You're not giving yajna, you're just doing bhog. You're just doing sense gratification without giving to demigods. What will be the result? Istena, eva. Eva refers to certainly, saha refers to he or she. Istena, he is definitely a thief because he is doing bhoga without offering to the demigods. Okay. So this is a very nice verse again. The Krishna is giving both ways. If you do it, you'll get istan bhogan, you'll get your innermost desire fulfilled. But if you don't do it, you are a thief. So don't think no one is watching me and I am not getting any reaction. I haven't done yajna. Still, I will get the results because it's just available for us. Not really. It doesn't work that way. Krishna is clearly saying there will be karmic reactions of that. Okay, 313, one of the most popular verses in this chapter.
I can do if you like.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment rarely eat only sin. So the previous one, Krishna was teaching how to thank the demigods. If you're not thanking them for what they're doing, then you're a thief. You're using all their suvidhai that they are giving you, but you're not doing anything. So for this one is saying that now whoever, so in the Sanskrit it says yagna, I may not pronounce it properly, but yagna shishtansya is when you sacrifice the food that is offered to as a yagna, and muchente is you get relief. So the people who the devotees, so santa means devotees. So the devotees of the Lord who offer their food offer the food, they are relieved from all kind. Kilbisha is sins, relief from sins. And people who just cook food, so bhunjante, they are they are the enjoyers, and they just cook food which is for atma karna, is sense enjoyment, and pachanti is prepare food. They are eating mahapapa, which is agamam papa. Sorry.
Thank you, Mata. Very nice. Very, very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. So I remember for 10 years ago, just with Mataji, and now she is pronouncing Sanskrit verses and telling the translation. Thank you, Mata. Very nice. So Mataji has already explained each word, so I don't need to re-explain it. But basically the relation between previous verse and this verse, 3.12 and 3.13, anyone? Very, very similar things are explained. The principle of yajna. So we are having the same series. So yajnarthat karmano niyatra, from there Krishna started, and is following the same theme here for the yajna, and is telling, if you do yajna, what happens? If you don't do yajna, what happens? So if you do yajna, you get your desires fulfilled. But if you're not doing yajna, you're definitely a stena. Stena means thief. Now in 3.13 he's saying bhujjatete tu agham papa. So agham refers to aghasur.
बोला था मैंने पहले से
Hare Krishna. So agam refers to pap, and pap refers to pap here. So you're basically eating sin only if you're doing pachanti atmakaranat. Pachanti is preparing, or pachana in Hindi, they call it atmakaranat. If you just buy something from the supermarket, you open the packet and just consume it. So what are you doing? It may be vegetarian. All the ingredients are vegetarian, but still you are a sinful person because it's not offered in yajna. It's not a yajna shishta. Now you can say there are different types of situations. Okay, in different situations, obviously we follow different rules, but the ideal situation will be the bhoga, I mean the grain, for example, or vegetables are grown by devotees, are cooked by devotees, offered by devotees, and eaten by devotees. So there are four sort of major things you can see. So grain cooked, sort of grown by devotees. Now that can be very, very hard because we don't know who has grown your rice and atta which you are using. Okay, so if that is down, the next thing should be at least prepared by devotee. Now preparation can also be two major steps. The cutting may be done by non-devotees, but as soon as you use fire, you put anything in fire, that has to be done by devotees, because fire takes the most of the consciousness. So we have to be very careful. So cutting and chopping, for example, can be done by non-devotees if the mass scale cooking is going on. But the fire thing, in our temple, sometimes many volunteers come. They may not be, chanting the rounds and doing all the principles, but they are involved in different sevas. But when the fire is involved, you'll see, Prem Sagar Prabhu or Sankirtan Narottam Prabhu. So they are cooking the main sort of Vishal. If that is also not done, at least the offering, the third number, should be done by a devotee. So, okay, whatever is done, but there's some food stuff is done. Now your Guru Maharaj is offering to Krishna. Now imagine if Guru Maharaj is offering to Krishna, how can Krishna refuse? How can Krishna refuse? So he's not only offering to Krishna, but he's also giving benefit to the devotees who have prepared, or struggling devotees. One example I remember just now, one of the Prabhupada disciples, actually some of them, but one example here, one of the Prabhupada disciples, he left Prabhupada. He still loved Prabhupada. He left the movement. He could not follow the rules and regulations. So he left the movement. When Prabhupada came back to the same city, somewhere in America, this devotee came back to Prabhupada to meet with him. And he said, Prabhupada, I want to cook for you. Actually, he approached devotees first, that he said, oh, Prabhupada is here. I want to cook for Prabhupada, because he used to cook for Prabhupada. But after quitting ISKCON, he started eating meat, having drugs again, and all those things. So devotees said, you cannot cook for Prabhupada. Huh? You are eating meat. Anyway, this devotee was not very happy. He went to Prabhupada directly. He said, Prabhupada, I want to cook for you, but these devotees are not letting me cook for you. So devotees actually took Prabhupada on the little side and said, Prabhupada, he's eating meat. Prabhupada said, no, he can cook. Prabhupada allowed him to cook, although he knew specifically that he is taking drugs and he's eating meat. At the moment, Why? Because Prabhupada wanted to deliver this person. Now we can't do it. Huh? So don't take Prabhupada example. You can't imitate big acharyas. But the point which I'm trying to make here, the third point, which Prabhupada accepted that because Prabhupada knew I can have, because there were some reactions coming, I can have it because I love this person. He's my son and I need to deliver him as well. Although he's not doing the right thing, but still he loved that person. So that person cooked for Prabhupada for a couple of days while he was in that city. So we shouldn't do that, but as much as possible, the offering should be done by a devotee. Now, even if the offering is not done by a devotee, you're in a situation, you're going out for a preaching program. I remember Damodar programs, we go to so many places and it's not easy. Honestly, it's not. They have a lot of love, but they have not followed all the standards of ISKCON. So what do you do? What do you do? It says the final part actually is the most important part. So you, with full respect to that prasadam, with full prayers to your Guru Maharaj, can accept a little bit. Now there are examples of Prabhupada as well. Okay, one example. I'm talking the exceptions here. Don't make rules. Exceptions are exceptions, and exceptions are done by exceptionally advanced people. This is Prabhupada. We're talking Guru Brahaspati doing something which we cannot think about. Lord Shiva doing something. We can't think all those things. But Prabhupada once went to Bombay Pandal program. Most of you would know, like practically whole Bombay came there. So just before the Pandal program, Prabhupada went to a house of a big dignitary in India, in Mumbai, and his wife cooked some prasad, so-called prasad for Prabhupada. Now, this person was the authority for the Pandal in charge. He would give certificate, issue the certificate that devotees can do it. He provided the space. He was also willing to sponsor the whole Pandal finances, which was like that time in lakhs of rupees. When Prabhupada went with his disciples, his wife, Mataji, cooked some prasadam for Prabhupada and other disciples. And as soon as Prabhupada took the first bite, you know what was there in the prasadam? Onion and garlic. Prabhupada was upset, obviously. Devotees also came to know, because if you don't eat onion garlic, you will know straight away, even by opening a bottle. I bought a pickle one day, not realizing a pickle can also have onion. Anyway, I opened the bottle. As soon as I opened the bottle, I could smell onion. It's just, you will know if you don't eat. Anyway, Prabhupada knew. So Prabhupada was a bit upset, and the devotee said, Prabhupada, this has onion. Prabhupada said, it's your fault. He is chastising his own disciple. Why did not you tell to this lady? It's not lady's fault. And Prabhupada accepted the prasad. Now, we shouldn't do it. Prabhupada could. We shouldn't do it. Huh? The principle, what I'm trying to establish here, sometimes devotees do for a higher principle. Prabhupada allowing a person who is eating meat. We shouldn't do it. All the four parts, as much as possible, we should try to maintain. And if we do that, Prabhupada said, I think Jamavati Mataji posted a quote, she posts every day. Just by eating prasad, just by eating pure prasad, you can go back to Godhead. What does pure prasad means? Grown by devotees, cooked by devotees, offered by devotees, and consumed as devotees. Not consumed as karmis. Oh, wow, nice pizza, malai kofta, palak paneer, and just attack on it. No, whole Mahaprasade prayer in a proper consciousness. Krishna has accepted it. Radharani has offered to Krishna. My Guru Maharaj has offered. Krishna's saliva is there in this malai kofta. So I am tasting that Krishna prasad. In idealistic way, some devotees, I shouldn't say, but they forget to offer namak in the sabji, or less namak. And after it comes out, Are namak kam hai, salt is less, give me more salt. Ideally, Krishna has accepted that sabji without salt. How can you take the sabji with salt, or with the black pepper or whatever extra? So it can be a very high standard in that way, because you are accepting Krishna prasad. You are tasting Krishna there, not the taste of the malai kofta, for example. So it's a very, very high standard. Now devotees can take extra salt if that's what the need is. But the point here is these standards should be meditated on in every time we do this process, which we all do every day. We always cook in the house. So we should try to maintain as much purity as possible, because with that purity only we'll get Krishna. Not that it's just a process. We just do it, ding, 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 Ghanti, Hare Krishna. Krishna, please take, and bye-bye. I'm going for my India-Pakistan match is going on. And then you come after 5 minutes, you take the plate away from Krishna. So this is just not a formality. If you do it with a proper consciousness, if you eat with a proper consciousness, the effect will be there. And that can be malai kofta or whatever is there. That's Krishna has eaten. Why not? Huh? Or it can be a burnt rice. We see the example of Jad Bharat in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was taking the burnt rice exactly in the same way as he would take nectar. Same way. For him, there was no difference. Now, we are not in that standard, but the point is the principle should be followed in as much detail as possible. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says, detail means advancement. Huh? A neophyte devotee, they always trying to shortcut. No, as much as possible. That you may also do shortcuts sometime, depending on the situation, but the principle should be followed as much as possible, and then the results come very nicely. Samit Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, it might be a very basic question, but I just would like to follow the right thing, so I'm clarifying it. So when you mention about offering food to Lord, so we should meditate upon Krishna or Srila Prabhupada, because we don't have a spiritual master yet.
Yeah.
So because we want to do the right way, as if now we have been meditating upon Krishna, thinking, and we also have Prabhupada in mind, but should we first offer to Prabhupada and then Krishna, or what is the right way, Prabhuji?
Okay, thank you, Mataji. It's a practical training exercise. You can consult with other devotees for the detail. In summary, we all have a spiritual master. Everyone sitting here, everyone comes to ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada is our first spiritual master, and everyone else, maybe my formal spiritual master or others, they are representing the same principle which Prabhupada has established. So he's an acharya. So your first answer, you have a spiritual master. Prabhupada ji is our spiritual master for all of us. The second, how we do it, yes, as you correctly said, Mataji. So we do the formal part there, the mantras. Don't ask me, you can ask someone else in detail, but basically at the end you tell you request, not tell, you request Srila Prabhupada, you please offer. I don't know how to do offering, I don't have any devotion, and I may have made so many mistakes while doing the offering, and that you can do for your other things as well. Srila Prabhupada, you please take this little sabji roti, sabji dal, and please offer to Gopinath. So it says your spiritual master will take it, say Srila Prabhupada in this case, and will offer to his spiritual master and pray to him, my disciple or this devotee have made some mistakes, but out of love, he is offering this. You please accept, and you offer to Krishna. Now, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj will take it and will offer to his Guru Maharaj, Jagannath Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He will offer to his spiritual master, and will go back to Srimati Radharani. And then Srimati Radharani will take your roti and sabji and will present in front of Sri Brajendra Nandan, Gokulapati, Sri Radha Gopinath, and she will say, see, this sabji and roti is made by Sonia Mataji on the earth planet in this universe, whatever the name of our universe is. And then this is offered by Srila Prabhupada, who is a spiritual master of Sonia Mataji. And then is offered by Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj and come all the way to Parampara. I think this is very nice. Krishna, please take it. Now, do you think Krishna will say no? You tell me. Because you have done the right thing. You have offered this with humility and love, obviously, and you have offered to your spiritual master. So your spiritual master will do that on our behalf. It does not mean we just making all the shortcuts and put it on the spiritual master's head. No, we try our best as much as possible. And whatever mistakes are there, we pray, and we be honest. And then the offering will be accepted by Krishna. 9.26, if you offer with love and devotion, I accept. And the process we follow through our spiritual master or Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Ujjwala Samataji or Kandasa Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
You know, as you mentioned, we offer the bhoga to our Guru Maharaj and then to Srila Prabhupada. But just as a personal prayer, this is what I do. I offer it to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then I offer it to Srimati Radharani and then Lord Krishna. So I do that as a personal prayer to them as well to accept. So is that okay?
Perfectly fine. Usually we go to our spiritual master and he does the rest. But you can offer to Nityananda Prabhu, that's perfectly fine. Personal prayers are many and it should be done. Your guest comes to your house, in person you say, Prabhuji, please khaiye, just out of love. And he may say, Mataji, I have diabetes. I can't take. But he may just touch the sweet and touch on it. So there can be many practical things, but make it personal. But generally, the principle is our spiritual master carries all this till Srimati Radharani, and then Srimati Radharani presents that bhoga plate to Krishna. And then Krishna does it, and then the offering comes back in the same cycle actually. After Krishna, Srimati Radharani takes, and then your spiritual master takes, and then you take. And when you pick up the plate, one devotee told me, you should offer to all the demigods. You should not just directly accept. So you are very respectful to the demigods. Because of the demigods, Parasparam Bhavam, we have just read it. Because of their gratefulness, we have got all this. So we should offer the prasad. I'm not talking bhoga, prasad to all the demigods, just in your mind. Then offer to all the jivas. Then offer to all your family members. Then you accept. As a principle. Now, how many family members are present in the house? They may not be there, all those. But I'm talking a principle here. So you go in a step by step, you accept in step by step, and you have satisfied. Just imagine how pleased your father, Krishna, will be by doing this process. How pleased he will be. And that's all we need. He's not after our chapati or malai kofta. He's after our love. So if we follow that, we have given to all the jivas. We are praying for all the jivas. Last week also we were discussing about we should pray for all the jivas to Krishna. Krishna is very, very pleased. And then he will make sure our mistakes are minimized next time. And then we become a better devotee. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. When you said offer it to demigods, yes, that's, I understand that. But when you said offer it to jivas, you mean which jivas we have to offer it to?
Basically, in your mind, you say, no jivas should be hungry. I'm going to accept prasad. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, all the demigods. But maybe some jivas are hungry. So I pray to you. I cannot find out all the jivas who are hungry. I was looking at the rains. There's so many birds flying. I was thinking, how do they get food? It's so difficult. We open our fridge. We have unlimited food by Krishna's grace. They don't have any food. They're just going here and there. Today, actually, 2 parrots came to my balcony. I have a small balcony. So they were sitting and I was washing some dishes. I saw them. So I thought I'll give them something. So maybe I took 2 minutes. It's my mistake. And I went out in the balcony. By the time I went out, they flew away. I was feeling bad because in the rains they came and I thought they are my guests. They are Atithi. They are my guests. They came uninvitedly. I should give them something. But I was just trying to finish something and it took like 2 minutes. I went to the balcony with something in my hand, but they flew away by that time. So I felt bad. I disrespected my guest. I could not call them. I went to the balcony. I was looking if there are anywhere I can show my hand or something, call them back. What do they need? Just little something. So they were my Atithi actually. I did not invite them. They came, two came actually, maybe male, female or whatever. I was very beautiful, the rainbow parrots, beautiful parrots. They were sitting in the balcony and I was just watching them. And I felt good that they came, but I could not serve them actually. I could not serve them. So I came back inside the kitchen. So anyway, so the principle should be maintained. The principle is you pray. In Manusmriti, it says, before you accept prasad, you should get out of the house and shout. It says shout 3 times. Is anyone hungry? Is anyone hungry? Is anyone hungry? If you get no response, then only you are allowed to accept prasad. Otherwise, no. If anyone is hungry, in your shouting response, if a beggar comes, Maharaj, I'm hungry, please give me. You must satisfy the beggar first. Rantidev example. Rantidev was hungry for 45 days. And then Brahman came, a Shudra came, a dog came, a Chandala came. He gave everything. That's the principle. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, we cannot go and shout outside. People will be thinking I'm mad. You can pray. Pray to Krishna. Please make sure no one is hungry. Even if they are sinful, they should not be hungry. Remove their sins. Remove their bad consciousness. Remove my bad consciousness. Keep praying. What's the harm? Doesn't cost anything. So if we meditate on these things, we will become soft-hearted and then become eligible to serve Krishna. At the moment, most of us, not all of us, quite hard. We are hard cases. We are not soft cases. So we have to do the right thing. Try. We'll fail. That's okay. A child fails, but the parents are happy. The child is at least trying. If he doesn't try, children, mother or father will say, you didn't even try. You try, you fall down. That's all right. No problem. Okay.
Wonderful answer. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Let's move forward. 3:14. Sorry, I spent some time on 3:13 last time. It was running out of time. It's a very important verse. It gives lots of principles. Okay, 3:14. I'll request Kanishka Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Anad bhavanti bhutani.
Annad bhavanti bhutani.
Parjanyad anasambhavaha.
Parjanyad annasambhavaha.
Yagnad bhavati parjanyo.
Yagyad bhavati parjanyo.
Yagna kama samudbhavaha.
Yagya karma samudbhavaha.
All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagna, sacrifice, and yagna is born of prescribed duties. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So this again, we are following the same section. The same theme is going on, talking about yagya, the importance of following the yagya, importance of not following the yagya. So here, Krishna is talking about a cycle, and I've got a picture which I will share with all of you in our group. But let's have a look. We'll read 3 verses. So 3:14, 15, and 16 are based on this particular cycle. We'll discuss the verse, we'll look at the cycle, and I will pass it on to you soon. So let's go to 3:14, read few things. I'll come back to the picture in a minute. So Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. So it's pretty simple words here. Anna refers to the food grain. Now, Anna can refer to 2 meanings here. Anna can refers to food in general, like including vegetables, or Anna can also refers to food grains. So Prabhupada writes here grains, which is fine. Huh? So Annad Bhavati Bhutani. So Bhutani, how does Bhutani refers to the jivas, all the living entities? How do they subsist? It says jivas, pran, the life air of jiva, especially in Kali Yuga, resides in Anna. And that's why Ekadashi is so important. Huh? On Ekadashi particularly, it says in Padma Puran, we should not take Anna, we should not take grain. Why? Because in the grain, Kali Yuga personified resides. Even if you take 1 grain of rice on the day of Ekadashi, you're taking the sin of killing millions of Brahmanas. Now, killing even an ant is, the reaction will come. Ant is a very small living entity. Killing a human is a very big sin. Even the legally also is very, and killing a Brahman is like one of the topmost sins. Brahman or a cow, very, very topmost sins. But even if you accept 1 grain of rice on the day of Ekadashi, it says you are accepting the sin of killing millions of Brahmanas. Now, we should be extremely careful in accepting what we accept on Ekadashi. Huh? Extremely careful. That's why we have all the Ekadashis. We also have Nirjala Ekadashi, where we ask them saying, if you have broken, not if you have broken, not you break it and say, okay, Nirjala Ekadashi, I'll follow. No, if accidentally you have broken something, accidents does happen, especially if we're living in this Ugra world. My Guru Maharaj called this Ugra world. It's not a Sattvic world which we are living in. Ugra, everything is Ugra here. Everything is super passionate or ignorance mode. We are also. So we subsist on food grains. If we cannot take food grains, we feel weak. So Anna Bhavanti Bhutani. Anna is responsible for sustaining bhutas, jivas. Now, where does Anna come from? Parjanya. So Parjanya refers to the rain. So if the rain does not happen, if there's a famine, if there's a drought, what happens? The first thing, the food prices grow. I was speaking to Mahavasu Prabhu yesterday. The food prices are going so high these days, huh? Because the chain is broken this time. Huh? Chain is broken. So if the chain is broken, there will be an impact. Huh? So if the rain doesn't come, what will happen? The amount of grain already produced in the warehouses, for example, is limited, and they will increase the prices. So Parjanya. Parjanya is also the name of Nanda Maharaj fathers. You read in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think 10.1 or 10.2. Nanda Maharaj father's name was Parjanya. There's also relation to Safalka, Akrura. Yagya Bhavati Parjanyo. And how does the Parjanya come? How does the rain comes? Yagya. So if you do Yagya, the rain comes, because rain is produced by demigods. By Yagya, they are satisfied and they give rains. We see again example of Indra Yagya. Yagya, where does Yagya come? Karma Samudbhavaha. So Yagya, karma refers to prescribed duties. Prabhupada writes here. So Yagya, who will do the Yagya? Who is doing the prescribed duties? So there are 4 things mentioned in this verse. So karma, which is the prescribed duty. So if you do prescribed duties, you will do Yagya, right? With the Yagya, what will come? Parjanya will come. One example, with yajna, many things will come. As we said, istan bhogan. But one of the main things in this cycle we're talking is rain. So with the yajna, rains will come. What will rain bring? Rain will bring anna, the grains. And what does grain bring? Bhavanti bhutani. We will be able to survive. Now let's look at this chart here. So we see all the embodied conditioned living entities like us, we depend on food grains. Food grain comes from rain, and rain comes from performance of yajna. And where does the yajna come from? Prescribed duties. Okay. And a person who is not doing prescribed duties, he will not do the yajna, rains will not come, food grain will not be there, or the scarcity will be there, and the embodied entity will not be able to survive properly. And that's what is happening in the world, because Prabhupada said people are not doing yajna, rather they're doing negative activities. The people are in trouble. Previous ages, people who used to live in small villages, in small communities, and they were quite happy. All the necessities were inside the village. They were not dependent on outside. Nowadays, I bought some tomato ketchup. It was written, produced in New Zealand. So even the tomato ketchup, for the tomato ketchup, we are dependent on another country. Huh? If the corona comes, the cycle is broken just for a small thing. Huh? People used to grow this tomatoes in the backyard. I'm remembering Harish Prabhu and Girish Prabhu, they used to live in a place where they had a big backyard. I'm sure they still have it. They used to produce so many vegetables. I went with Maharaj one day to their house, and Prabhu was explaining to Maharaj, 75% is grown in our house. So happy. 75% of the things were put in the plate meant for Maharaj were grown in their own house. So nice. Only 20% things they bought from outside. Very nice. So we can do it. Prabhupada said, all you need is small land and a cow. You can live happily. You don't have to work in factories. The land, you can grow some vegetables and some grains, and cow will give milk. And rest of the time, you chant Hare Krishna. You worship the deities. What else you need in the life? Why do you need this electronic gadgets and big buildings and then big mortgages working for 30 years? And we are stressful. Kids are stressful. Parents are stressful. We are stressful. And Jananda Maharaj was giving class here in Sydney. He was saying the money which we see in the bank account, in the computer, he said, the computer is imaginary money, isn't it? We're looking at the computer, we don't even see $100 note. I haven't seen $100 note for so long. Maybe $10. Sometimes I don't even have $10 in my pocket, because you don't deal with the cash these days, right? So it's all imaginary money. Money comes and money goes. So 3,000 comes and 2,800 goes in paying all the rents, isn't it? Mahasu Prabhu is smiling. So much comes, but so much goes out. And then we still have 3 more bills to pay. Okay, next pay cycle will pay that. We're just getting and paying. We are happy. Our house costs $1 million. And when the recession comes, you go and sell in the market, no one even gives 400,000. So it's all imaginary. It's all imaginary. It may work, it may not work. We are living on this fake figures, computer figures. Mara said it's all in the computer. Your, what do you call, stock means share. It goes, it grows and it goes down. When it grows, your ego is inflated. I'm a millionaire now. And when it goes down, you shoot yourself. Oh, I've lost everything. You haven't lost anything. You haven't gained anything. It's all imaginary. It's all imaginary. We become very pleased with these figures growing in the computer. In our pocket, even $1 is difficult. So again, do what you need to do, but don't give over importance to these things. My Guru Maharaj says, we are giving over importance to these things. Over importance means too much giving importance to these things, not necessary. Just take them, use it, whatever is necessary, and move forward for the real business. Okay, Ujjwala Samataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. When we talk about this yajna, the prescribed duties.
Yes.
See, for the devotees, it is like we are doing the Sankirtan yajna, but people who are not doing that, so what kind of yajnas? Because nowadays, the different ashramas actually, do they represent different yajnas that we should be doing?
Yes.
depending on which ashrama we are situated in?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. So as per the Vedic Karma Kanda, yes, different varnas and different ashrama. Varna refers to Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Varna refers to the body. Ashrama refers for the soul. So a Brahman can be a sannyasi, Brahman can be a grahastha. So in different varna and different ashrama, a different prescription is given. So yes, everything is quite categorized and very systematic, very purposeful. Not like just you get a degree, you get a job, and you work. That's it. You get married, you buy a house, mortgage, same thing. Everyone is doing. Just blind following. No, Vedic culture was very, very sophisticated, extremely sophisticated. We cannot even imagine. That's why we have so many questions. Is it so sophisticated, so purposeful, so meaningful? Okay. Let's look at the 2 more verses and we'll complete the cycle. Okay, Mahavasu Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm sorry, I might be asking something which is in the context, but maybe out of context. The graph that you shown, actually it says that the prescribed duty is from the Vedas and that comes from Krishna, which is there in the following verse. Understandable, but sorry for that. Sorry, Prabhu. Okay, so the thing is, if you read here in the previous verses, all that it was saying is to please the demigods. So in this cycle, you don't see demigods. Obviously, yes, this is good for people who are following Krishna consciousness. But if you were to explain it on a karma kanda level, exactly just purely karma kanda, then how does it work?
Yeah, so this says
because there's no demigod in this graph. So how does it work?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Not everything will be written. So this verse is, this cycle, this picture is based on 3.14 and 3.15. So His Grace Tyaga Chaitanya Prabhu, very great devotee, he has put this, Prabhu. So he is just explaining the verses as it is. So now how this has happened, we have already read in the previous verses. Demigods are giving 3.12. We already read that, Prabhu. So he's representing the verse in a graphic form. That's what he's doing. But we have read that already.
That's it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So because see, what the question I had is, if it's a graph that is based only on karma kanda, then there is no supreme god. There is only demigods, isn't it? Then the circle is like you offer to demigods, the demigods are pleased, and then it goes to that because the demigods are pleased, then they give the benediction to the living entities.
We're just going to read Prabhuji 3.15. We haven't done it. It says the Supreme Lord. The origin is here. It says that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, let's read the next one, then things might get more clear. It's a combination of 2 verses. Actually, I should say 2.5 verses. We'll see. Now, 3.15, who has not read as yet? Dear Mataji, want to do that?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll try. Karma Brahmo Bhavam Vidhi.
Karma Brahmo Bhavam Vidhi.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara Samudbhavam.
Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma.
Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma.
Nityam Yagne Pratishtitam.
Nityam Yagne Pratishtitam.
Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Thank you.
Mataji. So karma udbhavam. Udbhavam refers to where it's coming from, where it is produced from. Vidhi is to know. You should know karma is coming from Brahma. Now, what does Brahma means? Prabhupada translates as Vedas. So where would we know where our prescribed duties are? That is written in the Vedas. So karma, prescribed duties are coming from the Vedas. Now, where does Veda come from? Brahma. Where does Veda come from? Akshara. Now, we will read in chapter 15, there are 2 types of linguistics. One is Shara, one is Akshara. Who is Shara? Everyone would know. We are all Shara. We are all fallen. And Akshara, who does not fall, who does not deteriorate, does not get destroyed. Who is that Akshara? It's the Supreme Lord. So where is Brahma? Vedas come from? Akshara. Now also we read in Ajamil Upakhyan, Vedo Narayano Sakshat. So Veda comes from Narayan. Even Yamadutas say that. So it's a statement in 6.2 by Yamadutas, Veda comes from Narayan. So that's the Vani, the speech of Lord Narayan. So Brahma, the Vedas come from Akshara, Samudbhavan. So they come from Akshara, Supreme Lord. Tasma, therefore, Sarvagatam Brahma. Sarvagatam Brahma refers to that Vedas, Nityam Yagya Pratishthitam. Where does he reside? In Yagya, in the acts of sacrifice. That's what Prabhupada writes. So let's go back to the picture here. So we're just going a little bit backwards. So Karma, where does karma from Brahma, which is Vedas. So that's what it says. Prescribed duties are within the Vedas. Next line was Brahma, the Vedas come from Akshara. Akshara refers to the Supreme Lord. So Akshara, the Vedas come from the Supreme Lord. Okay. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sort of stages, which is described in 2 verses. Is it clear? Now, where does it say it's a cycle? That is written in 3:16. So that sort of give the complete picture here. So let's go to 3:16. Who want to do that? Who has not done as yet? Ujjwala Mataji or Akhand Rasa Prabhu, you can do this verse.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
3:16. Evam pravartitam chakram.
Evam pravartitam chakram.
Anuvartayati yah.
Na anuvartayati yaha.
Gayur indriyaramo.
Aghayur indriyaramo.
Mogam partha sajivati.
Mogam partha sajivati.
Translation. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So chakram, the word chakra is used here, right? So chakra, evam chakra. So thus, this chakra, which we are discussing, for example, this one, which is interdependence, how living entity actually ultimately depend on the Supreme Lord. So without Supreme Lord, we cannot survive. So we, I think Mahasaya Prabhu was asking whether demigod. So we know the demigod verse, but even from material perspective, we can look at this verse at least halfway through. If the rain doesn't come, even materialistic people will also accept the food will not be grown, and food will not be grown, we will be not be able to survive. Even the meat eaters cannot survive without the grains. To the cows or whatever else, they feed the grains only, and then you eat that cow. So you're eating indirectly grains only. So you cannot live without the grains. But when you go a little bit deeper, you understand how does the rain will happen. Nowadays, we see so many calamities coming, the tsunami, flood, famine, drought, so many things are happening. Previously, the things were not happening. Sometimes you will listen all these things. Why? People were more religious. They were following, they're more prayerful. Even in other cultures of the world, in every culture, actually, you will see there's always an association of prayers in the culture. Even Christianity, you see, even in mountains, they pray ideally 5 times a day. In all the cultures of the world, you go to Egypt, there's a culture of prayers. They're always praying to higher beings. Now, they may not have good definition of who the higher beings are, what do they do, what's my relationship, but they have this culture of prayers. They're being respectful. Even if you look back in America, they had 400 years ago, Abraham Lincoln and all that, they were doing some higher acts for the public. So once we understand that the principle of prayers and connecting ourselves with the higher beings, then we can live in cooperation. And the more man is coming out of the principle, means I don't care what happens to others, I just care about myself. Like in Egypt also, I have read somewhere in the history books that they used to worship rivers. Now we worship rivers as well in India. They also used to worship rivers. They used to worship trees and all that. In that mood that this is providing me such a nice necessity of my life, and I need to reciprocate with my prayers. And as soon as the reciprocation is stopped, you see so many things are happening, and the less and less humans are becoming more condensed in their own selfish acts, and they're cutting themselves from the nature. You see nature responding back, not in a favorable way, in an unfavorable way. So this cycle is important. Now let's go back to the verse. There are other things as well. So evam pravartitam chakram. Pravartitam refers to established. So eva refers to certainly, evam refers to thus. Tasmat or evam, they both refers to thus, therefore. So thus, therefore, this chakra which has been established by Veda, na anuvartatiya. So anuvartatiya refers to adopt or follows. Huh? So one na anuvartatiya, one who does not follow this chakra, this cycle, what happens to him? Aghayu. Agha refers to, everyone know this one? Jamati Mata just said. Pap. Huh? So aghasur, you can remember very easily. Aghasur, agha, pap, kil bishaiha. Muchante sir, kil bisha refers to pap, agha refers to pap refers to pap, sin refers to pap. So many words are there. Huh? So aghayu. So his ayu refers to age. Agha refers to pap. So his ayu is spending in what? In pap, in sin. And what is he doing? Indriya Ramo. So this is a very nice word. Indriya ka aram. Aram means resting. So everyone is doing aram. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj used to say, if you go to Ram, you get real aram. Real aram is real rest. Now we are all trying to rest in different ways, in our TV or mobile or in car or in our prestige. We're trying to feel aram. We're trying to feel relaxed, but we don't get relaxed. Unless you go to Ram, you never get aram. So you have to go to Ram, Lord Ram or Krishna, then you get real aram. But here this guy is doing Indriya Ram. Indriya Ram is doing sense gratification. He is spending his life, ayu, in agha. So what does it leads with? Mogha. Mogha in 9.12 is also word used, waste, useless. So mogham parsa jivati. He is jivati. He is his life is there for what? Useless. So how many people in the world you reckon are doing Indriya Ram, sense gratification? 99.99%. Devotees you can practically count in hand. Maybe a few 100,000, which is nice, but everyone is doing Indriya Ram. So what their life is leading towards? Mogha. As per Bhagavad Gita, they are living their life uselessly. So obviously we are trying also, we are also doing many things at this stage which are not so useful, but at least we are trying. So if we follow the cycle, we are going towards dharma, we are going towards the real goal of life. Otherwise, we are wasting our life. Bhagavad Gita is clearly speaking about it. Two words are used, agha, pap, and indriya ram, sense gratification. Okay. So this completes the cycle where Krishna is there, obviously the ultimate source. He gives the Vedas. Vedas gives the prescribed duties. Prescribed duties gives our performance of yajna. As we were discussing, different varna and ashram will do different yajna in different stage of their life. We are doing Sankirtan yajna. Through the yajna, the rains will come. And we have example of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I just remembered, I'll share very quickly. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Fiji. He was giving a lecture to a big crowd, 1,000+ crowd or something like that. And there were obviously local people who were not devotees that time. And Maharaj was glorifying Krishna, and he was saying, if Krishna is there, everything can be achieved. So fortunately, unfortunately, that time there was a big drought in Fiji. So some reporters asked the Tamal Krishna Maharaj, by doing kirtan, do you think rains will come? And Maharaj said that, yes. Now it is a big challenge, isn't it? Materially speaking, you're doing kirtan and the rains will come. Now devotees who went with Maharaj were little in anxiety on that night. If the rain doesn't come, we have to shut down our temple because you promise in front of thousands of people. And Krishna's arrangement, a pure devotee spoke, yes, rains will come. And that same night, big rain came. And the next morning, the main, Fiji Times or whatever the main Sydney morning, Fiji Morning Herald must be there. It says, Hare Krishna is the rain giver. Hare Krishna is the rain giver. So just by doing Sankirtan Yajna, Maharaj could prove. Now, it doesn't have to be proved that way, but it is one of the examples. So rain came. So just by doing Sankirtan Yajna, even materially, it has been proved by one of the pure devotees. Rain came. And people were happy. Big preaching, isn't it? He's a pure devotee. Krishna respected his words. Very nice. Okay, let's move forward. 317. Okay, I can see Mohit Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Would you like to read?
Just to Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Atmaratir Evasha
Yastva atmaratir ev shad.
Atma triptascha manavaha.
Atma triptascha manavaha.
Atmana eva cha santushtas.
Atmani eva cha santushtas.
Tasya karyam na vidyate.
Tasya karyam na vidyate.
Translation. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, from him there is no duty.
Okay, so far Krishna was talking about this Karma Kanda section, which went from 9 to 16, 3.9 to 3.16. Now, we read the whole principle of Yajna and positives and negatives of all that. Now, Krishna is going to explain from 16 to 24. These next 8 verses is going to talk about who does not have any duty to do, but they still do the duty for the sake of setting an example. So these 8 verses are very nice. And in these 8 verses, Krishna will talk about himself as well and talk about other nice celebrities. So let's look at the first verse in this series, 317. Yastva atmaratir eva. So the word here you can pick here, atmarati. Rati refers to, everyone would know. Now rati also have many meanings, but a general meaning is attachment. Huh? So this person is attached with what? Atma. He is not attached with outside things. He's attached with Atmaratir. Huh? So he is sort of looking inwards and he is attached with Atma. Atma traptash. Atma trapta. Trapta refers to satisfied. So he's satisfied within himself. He's looking inside. He's attached with inside. Atmani evacha santush. And he is also santushtaha. Santushta Prabhupada writes is satiated, fully satiated. He doesn't have any more desires. So 3 things are given: Atmaratir, Atmatrapta, Atmani Santushtas. So one who has these 3 qualities, Tasya Karyam na vidyate. Anyone can translate that, isn't it? Tasya, to that person, na vidyate, does not exist Karyam. He does not have any prescribed duties to perform. Is it clear? So now you can say who has prescribed duties, who does not have these 3 qualities, he will have prescribed duties. But if you have these 3 qualities, Atmaratir, you're looking inwards. Now, are we Atmaratir? No, we are TV Ratir, we are Paisa Ratir, we are Makan Ratir, we are family Ratir. We have attachment to everything except Atma. Yeah, we love our Atma when we are tired. Oh, I'm so tired. I need a break. And then we sleep for 8 hours or 10 hours. Something like that. No, we are not Atma. We are not Atma Trapta. Huh? We're not Trapta. We are not satisfied with our Atma. So a person who has these 3, he does not have any duties to perform. Let's read the series and then you will come to know why Krishna is explaining this one. Okay, so 317, 3 qualities are explained. This person does not have any prescribed duties to perform. Let's see what Krishna says in 318. Who is next? Sumit Prabhu, you have done read the verse?
Prabhuji, I'll try.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Naiva tasya kriternartho.
Naiva tasya kriternartho.
Na kriteneha kaschana.
Na kriteneha kaschana.
Chasya sarva bhuteshu.
Chasya sarva bhuteshu.
Kaschid artha vyapashraha.
Kaschid artha vyapashrayaha.
A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being.
So again, explaining the same self-realized person, which he has explained in the earlier verse. So this person, he doesn't have any artha, any business, which he has to be dependent on. I'll just take the 4th line. Artha vyapashraya. So we take ashraya. So ashraya refers to the shelter. So we take shelter of sarva bhuteshu. Sarva bhuteshu here refers to many living entities, isn't it? To survive in the society, can we survive on our own? Any one of us? No, we need help from so many people, from some demigods, from our family, on a physical level, on an emotional level, for all the things. We need people, right? So generally speaking, we take ashraya, we take shelter. Vipashraya means complete shelter, you can say, of sarva bhuteshu, of so many living entities. But this person who is self-realized, he does not have any duties to fulfill. Na krtene hai karshan. So this is the most important line in this verse, and this is the line for us as well. So this person, as he said, I'll just open 317 again. What was the last line here? Tasya karyam na vidyate. Karya refers to his prescribed duties. He does not have any prescribed. No, we all of us have. Why all of us have prescribed duties? Forget the Krishna consciousness part, just a simple human life. We have prescribed duties towards our family, towards our employer, towards our parents, and towards our society. We all have 6 debts. We know that, right? We all have, but this person doesn't have. Now, who is this person? He is the person who is situated. Now, this has nothing to do with the bhakti part as yet, so don't mix it. So this person is situated on a jnana level. Only person which is situated on a jnana level, he's a jnani, he has realized his soul, does not have any duties to perform, and this person, continuing the same word, does not take ashraya of any other living entity, because he's atmaratir, he's atmatraptash. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't have any needs which he has to be fulfilled outside. But is very important. Krishna says this line here, na akrteneha. So na refers to no, and akrtena refers to without discharging the duty. So this person, although he doesn't have any duties to perform, but this person also does not have any reason for not doing the duty. You understand? So he doesn't have to do the duty, but he at the same time, he doesn't have any reason for not doing the duty, because he is transcendental. He is beyond duties and non-duties. So Krishna is saying, if you are situated on that situation where you have nothing to perform, you have no prescribed duty, even then you have no reason for not performing the duty. What Krishna is basically referring to, please perform your duty, although you may be transcending that part. So this section refers to basically, even if you're situated in jnana level, so even for jnanis, please perform your duty, because it doesn't matter you perform or you don't perform, so rather you perform. So he says, I sleep or I be awake, it doesn't matter. So what will be the answer? Please be awake and do something. Don't sleep. I have no work, so let me sleep. No, be awake and do some work. So he's saying, although this person who is self-realized has no duties to perform, he is beyond all that. He's not taking ashraya of any living entity, which we take. Still, that person has no reason to not perform the duties. And then he goes 19, just a same thought pattern. Let's see, where he gives his conclusion. Who has not done as yet?
Haribol Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just a quick question. Yeah, this.
Sorry, Prabhu, I had a question.
Okay, let's do one by one.
This verse is purely talking about the jnanis, is it?
Yes, Mataji. So you read 317, Mataji, the three qualifications given there: Atmaratir, Atmatraptash, and Atmani Santushtaha. Atma mein santusht hai wo, Atma mein rati kar raha hai. Atma refers to jnana, self-realized person. We're talking about the jnani. But even if you're on the jnana level, what you should be doing? Krishna is saying, do the duty. And that's what he will conclude in 319.
Okay, thank you.
Someone else also said something.
Yes, Prabhuji. So does this 3.18 is it saying that a person who is even he has no discharge of? I'm finding it a bit hard to understand this one actually.
Let's do.
Is it meaning? Is it saying that?
Let's do 319, Mataji.
Is it saying?
And Krishna will give the conclusion. So we're just preparing for the conclusion at this stage. So he is giving some background at this stage. He has not given the conclusion as yet, although I have given in my words. Krishna will himself give in 319. Okay. Is that okay, Mataji?
When you said verse 17.
Mataji, just one second. Just one second, Vijala Mataji. Priya Mataji, is that okay?
Yeah, so you'll conclude what is the essence of
Krishna will conclude his teachings here. What you should tasma, therefore, he will conclude his teachings. So basically what he has said so far, even if you're situated on a jnana level where you have atmaratir, you are completely inward, you're completely satisfied with yourself, you have no duties to perform, still you have no reason to not perform the duties, and you should do it. So Krishna will conclude the statement in 319. I'll just read quickly for your question. Tasmat asaktaha sadatam karyam karma samachar. So tasmat, therefore, Prabhupada writes, without being attached to the fruits of activity, one should act as a matter of duty. For working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So basically, Krishna is recommending work over non-work. Is that okay, Priya Mataji?
You give an example, Prabhuji?
Yes, Krishna will give example as well. We're just coming. Krishna has given this section very beautifully. He'll give the principle, he'll give the conclusion, he'll give the example. I think it's 320 is the example, Mataji. One by one. Yeah. I can give example, but let Krishna speak. Krishna is speaking. I'm just following. Yeah. It's in the verse 320. You can look if you want to while I'm talking to the devotee. So Ujjala Mataji, Hare Krishna, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Prabhu. When you said the verse 17 also talks about the Gyanis, the one who takes pleasure in the self.
Yeah.
But here, the end of the verse, the translation says, for him, there is no duty.
Yes.
So,
for
a person who is a person who, so I'm a little bit confused, that person who is Gyani,
yes.
It is said that there is no duty. But Krishna is again
prescribed duties. No prescribed duties, which refers to say yajna. No family duties. He has reached to the level of soul. So when you say duty, no prescribed duties we are talking.
Okay.
Yeah? So he doesn't have to, fulfill the parents' duty. My parents are old. I have to, look after them. My children are very young. I have to look after them and all those. He doesn't have to do it. He's situated on a different level.
Prabhu, can I just say in that purport, Prabhupada writes, so it's, although he says for him there is no duty in the translation, in the third line says he has a duty because his duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of Lord, and therefore he has no longer obligations, as you said, Prabhu, of Vedic injunctions. So he still has a duty, but it's he no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like man, women. So there is still some duty that he's illuminated by the grace of Lord.
Yes, definitely. So on this level, we're just talking that sort of little cycle here. For the Prabhupada also writes here, he has no obligation for the Vedic injunctions. So Vedic Karma Kanda does not apply. Now, we cannot leave our old parents or young children and not do our duties. Like we have obligation, we have duties. This person does not have those duties. Obviously, he's also a soul. He has duty towards the Lord. And that's why we say even Jnani is not complete. Okay, Rupam Prabhuji? Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Question, Prabhu. Two questions actually. First is, Prabhu, what if this person actually doesn't perform any duties? He actually performs. So he's performing his duty because of his nature, and that's a good thing. But worst case scenario, if he doesn't perform his duties, like if he really stays idle and doesn't do anything, what happens in that case?
That verse, huh? Even for a moment, the soul cannot live without activity. Huh?
Oh, because
so we just have to take these verses in a limited context. We're trying to interlink. It may be a little confusing, but we're taking on a Jnana platform. If a person is situated, he does not have any prescribed duties to follow on a day-to-day basis. Huh? But now when you take on a bhakti level, he also have duties towards Lord. And because he's not doing that duty, he is still an incomplete. Huh? When we're talking about this person, Jnani with these three qualifications does not have any obligation to Vedic injunctions. The day-to-day prescribed duties is not for him anymore. Huh? But still, as we are progressing in the thoughts, we are seeing, even for that person, Krishna is recommending to do work, Karma Yoga, even for that person. Huh? Although he's on a Jnana level, he's saying still you should perform Karma Yoga. Huh? And he will give the conclusion, he will give the example of Janak Maharaj, 320.
So that's the prescription that he needs to do something.
Yes, Prabhu.
To work something. But since the nature of the soul is to stay active,
yes,
he will be active. So he cannot
be active in meditation. So meditation on Atma. And many people are doing dhyan or meditation these days. Again, many are fake, but some, if they are real, and that's a real mark. It's not. See, Jnana Marg is a Vedic path. It's given in Vedas, and it's valid. It's not valid, but we cannot do it. We cannot do it, and it's very, very difficult. In 12.7, if I'm not wrong, 12.8, Krishna personally says Jnana Marga is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. But it is a valid mark. It's a valid mark. Now, It is valid in the sense it gives you a certain destination. Like if you're journeying on a train, just a little example comes to my mind, you can journey only within Australia. By the train, you cannot go to India. But journey in a train is valid. From A to B within Australia, it's valid. You can do it. But the train just cannot go through the sea. So jnana is valid. It can, but only take you till the Paramatma level. After that, it just doesn't work. It doesn't have access to that particular destination. For that, you have to take a plane or go in a ship. Take Bhakti Mantra. Okay. But within that cycle, it's valid.
Yes, yes. And Bruce, so then is it correct to say that all Gyanis are sannyasis? Not, of course, not these sannyasis, but
not technically, you know. Gyanis can be hundreds and thousands of Gyanis will be sitting in Himalayas. Even today I'm talking, and we read, we listen about them in different lectures. You have not even seen them. I've heard in Prayagraj, all these different yogis, you can say, or Gyanis, they come to take bath in Prayagraj. Every morning they come. They travel hundreds of kilometers every morning. They take bath and they go back. Now, sannyas is just an external garb for them. And other way as well. Many take the sannyas and they are not Gyanis.
Yeah, that was
They are fake sannyasis. Mithyachara sochate. Huh? Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Matri Mataji.
Prabhu, I have a question here. So Jnana Marga is also a valid one?
Yes.
And they don't have any obligation to any prescribed duties?
Yes.
And they will only reach up to Brahman level?
Yes.
But here, they have a chance that they fall down again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the difference between what we are from a Bhakti Marg, where we are planning to reach, of course, our main aim is not to reach Goloka Vrindavan or something. Our aim is only to serve Lord.
Yes.
However, we will be reaching to Goloka Vrindavan to perform a service.
Hopefully.
Like
Okay,
pure devotee.
Got it. Yes.
Pure devotee by doing their devotional service.
Yes.
So the difference between a Jnana Yogi who reached to Brahman and the pure devotee who reached to Goloka Vrindavan is that logically that pure devotee never falls down, whereas Jnana Yogi who reached Brahman can fall down. Am I right?
That's one of the difference, but the major difference is soul by nature is the part and parcel of Krishna. So he will never get the satiation. Eventual satiation will only come in Bhakti Marg.
Yeah.
So you're trying to do something against your nature. You can do it for a while, but you will not be very satisfied in long run. Here, at least in Australia, you say, okay, the children are choosing a path which they like. Now in India, it didn't work that way. Everyone is doctor, engineer. just rise up, get the job, whatever the best job you can get, and just move on. But here, the children are choosing what they like because that's more sustainable.
Yes.
We are performing, yeah.
So the Jnana Yogi who reaches Brahman because the soul by nature always performs some activity. They do not have any activity.
Yes.
Is against the nature of the soul.
Exactly.
And they get satiated.
Prabhupada said exactly same thing, because soul, when it reaches to Brahman, after a while, once you are tired, you come from India or a big tour, you're tired, you sleep for 10 hours, that's fine. But can you be sleeping forever because you're just tired? But that 10 hours is important. So these Gyanis are tired of the material world. They go to Brahman and they rest for some time. And that's nice, You're tired, you need to take a rest. But you cannot be resting all the time. After a while, you'll get up and go out and do some activity. Corona, this curfew is going on, so-called, You cannot stay home for so long. You have to get out. You have to get out. So similarly, Gyani, they go and rest for a long time. But after a while, they're just like, nothing there, nothing to do here. Let me do something. And then they come back to Prithvi Loka.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhakti
And
Maharaj gave...
they can never reach to Goloka Vrindavan.
They never.
Yes.
Bhakti Maharaj gave a very nice example. I just remembered. So they are going to Sydney, for example. You're traveling to Sydney. But when you land in Sydney, you go outside the city in the circle, just roundabout. You're not going inside the city. A bhakta enters into the city and goes and meets with Radha Gopinath at 180 Falcon Street, and he serves Radha Gopinath. So who is better? Both are gone to Sydney, transcended the material realm. That's fine. They also transcend the material realm. That's correct. But they are going round and round in a roundabout.
Yeah.
They're not never going inside, and they're not relishing how long you can go in a roundabout. After a while, either you go back to where you came from or you go inside. Do something. Chalo drive ke liye jayenge. How long you will drive for no reason? You will drive for some reason. You'll perform the activity and come home. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Priya Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. So just back to that one we were talking about 319. I was just having a look out in again, and then I wanted to ask whether is the example of like when it says being attached without being attached. So we are not attached to the fruits and activities if we are doing it for the interest of Krishna, and Krishna's will is there. So does that mean that we are not actually we do not have that attachment to that, because that then becomes transcendental. It's not material anymore.
Yes.
So if it's Krishna's interest is applied there, so does that mean something like so say if we do some seva for Krishna in the form of kirtan or prasad, sometimes we worry whether we are doing it properly or not. We should not worry that in that way, or because it's
okay, so it's a
Krishna's
big
interest. We
question.
should not worry for the result for that, or
yeah, no,
we should not
worry. When you are cooking prasad for your deities, bhoga for your deities, for example, you cannot say, I will not worry how the sabji comes out. I will just, put something in my pressure cooker, and whatever comes out, Krishna has to accept. No, we must worry about the result. But when the result comes, even after your best effort, we are not sort of cursing ourselves, oh, what happened? When the result does not. Suppose you cook bhoga for your Prabhuji or your Mataji, for your mother, you prefer them to be, saying very nice, rather than saying, ye kya bana diya? What have you made? Again, no salt in the sabji. Mataji or Prabhuji, I'm transcending. I don't care how the sabji comes out. No, that means we are lacking our responsibility. So Bhagavad Gita talks about detachment, not being irresponsible. So as a devotee, we are responsible to do what we are doing, and we do in a quality way. So our loved ones, whoever, our parents or our family members, become happy with that activity. Now, even if you have performed your best, you have put your best effort and the result does not come out, you're not attached to the result. But you do your best. So Bhagavad Gita talks about being responsible, not being irresponsible. And detachment comes, I'll give the difference between irresponsibility and detachment. Irresponsibility is before the work. Before the work means you have an exam tomorrow, you're not studying today. That means you are being irresponsible. But you have studied very well today and throughout the whole year, you gave the exam. After the exam, your marks came less than expected. Then you are detached. So detachment comes post-activity, responsibility comes pre-activity. So devotees are very, very responsible. But again, many things may happen which are out of your control. That then we are detached. We say, okay, Krishna desired that way. What can I do? But we are not irresponsible. Okay.
Thank you.
Uchalo Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit still confused about verse 17, because as you mentioned, this verse is talking about the Gyanis. Now, when I went through the purport, Prabhupada explains that the person who is fully Krishna conscious, so it looks like it's talking about a person who is in Krishna consciousness, who's performing devotional activities. So a person who is performing devotional activities, he's Krishna conscious, that person is above the prescribed duties. But so the translation says for him there is no duty. So to me it looks like this talks about the Krishna conscious person. But how does that refer to Gyanis? Because Gyanis is the one who is only interested in philosophical speculation and talking about the self, about the spirit, soul, and all that. but this is the purport says that he's talking, the description is about the Krishna conscious person.
Yeah, so this is
I'm a
Prabhupada's
little bit
purport.
confused.
Okay, you should not be confused. Again, I'm saying if you're trying to mix everything in one plate, then it will be confusing. If you just read the verse, Mataji, who takes pleasure in the self-realization. Verse does not talk about bhakti at all, right? Prabhupada is saying very clearly, one who is fully Krishna conscious, talking about a pure bhakta here. Huh? So both can be satisfied in their own way. One is satisfied in the self, he's taking pleasure in the self. One is satisfying in serving Krishna. Both are satisfied. And that's what we were talking about with Matri Mataji's conversation, that who will go higher, who will go short term and long term, who is satisfied for some time, who is satisfied for long time. So he's also satisfied. There are jnanis who are satisfied, but they are not satisfied for eternity. A bhakta is satisfied for eternity. He is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness. He also does not have any, like a sannyasi does not have any obligation. Even if he has parents, young children, Indradu Maharaj, he took sannyas at the age of 29. His child was 1 year old. He took sannyas. Prabhupada gave him sannyas. Jayapataka Maharaj took sannyas at the age of 17, for example. He had parents. Radhanath Maharaj also took sannyas quite early. Bhakti Charu Maharaj. There's so many examples. But they took sannyas in a different perspective than a Mayavadi will take a sannyas. So they are there. We cannot deny it. And they are satisfied. They are great souls. But we are doing a different comparison here. In the verse, Prabhupada is giving his purport. That's why it's called purport. A person, Prabhupada always give bhakti purports, and that we can see very clearly. Wherever there is no Krishna, you will see Krishna. Even in translations, you will see Karma Yoga Prabhupada clearly translating as Bhakti Yoga. So Prabhupada is doing all that. So Prabhupada, as I said earlier, as well, putting the purpose of Bhagavad Gita throughout the Bhagavad Gita. So in the purport, Prabhupada is, without any confusion, is writing fully Krishna conscious. So it's talking about two different things. Principle looks same. Materially, people also same work performed for a different purpose. Is that clear, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhu, it's understanding it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to 19. We started 19, we haven't done it. Did we read the 19? Not yet. Okay, maybe someone can read. Rasanand Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tasmad asakta satatam.
Tasmad asakta satatam.
Karyam karma samachara.
Karyam karma samachara.
Asako hi acharan karma.
Asakto hi acharan karma.
Param apnoti purushaha.
Param apnoti purushaha.
Translation. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So now Krishna is sort of concluding, is saying, Tasma, therefore, asaktaha. Asaktaha means, so is asakta means attached, asakta is detached. Satatam, always, what you should do without being attached, karyam karma samachara, you should perfectly perform your duties. So although you're on a jnani level, you have nothing to be performed, but still you should perform your duty. How you should perform your duty? Asakto hi acharan karma. Again, the word asakta and asakto here, same thing. So 2 times Krishna is repeating the word asakta. Asakta means detached. So how we should perform our duty? With a detached mode. And what you will attain by that, if you constantly satatam perform your duty without attachment, the final result will be param apnoti purusha. You will achieve the Supreme Lord. Now again, here we are not introducing which aspect of Supreme Lord you will achieve. So you will achieve the Brahman aspect or a Bhagwan aspect. We're not introducing that because Bhakti section is not being introduced as yet. But he is saying if you perform that, you will attain the Supreme Lord. Now Arjun asks if there are any examples out there. So Krishna gives the example in 3:20. We'll do this verse and then we will stop. 3:20. Who will take the last verse? Anyone?
Can I do, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Karman Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim
Karmanaiva hi sansiddhim
astita janakadayah
astita janakadayah
Lok Sangraham evapi
Lok Sangraham evapi
samshayam kartum arhasi.
sampashyan kartum arhasi.
Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. So karma time. So if you do karma, as we are talking without attachment, he sansiddhim, he refers to definitely. So don't think if I'm performing karma, I will not achieve the sansiddhi, I will not achieve the perfection. He said karma time, even if you perform karma with that mode, sansiddhi, pure perfection can be achieved. And the example is Asthita Janak Adaya. So Janak refers to Janak Maharaj, the father of Sita Devi. Adaya refers to etc. So there's not only one example, there are many examples like Janak Maharaj. So Janak Maharaj, many stories come to my mind, but we all know he's also known as Videha. Videha or Vidarbha. So Videha refers to body. Videha refers to who does not consider the body as body. He's out of the body. He's beyond the body. So obviously he had a body. So Videha refers to, but he did not treated his body as body. That means he lived like a Jivan Mukta, a person who was liberated. He was completely unattached, but still he was doing his kingly duties. He was looking after his citizens. He had armies, he had ministers, he had so much treasury to look after. He had so many duties. Although he was completely out of the body, he had no prescribed duties to perform. Still, he was performing the duty. And because he did that, for what purpose? Lok Sangraham. So Lok Sangraham is a word again we can learn. Loka refers to this Loka, the planet or the society where we are living in. So to set up an example for the society, he was still working. So he was not sitting in a jungle. So basically what Krishna is telling to Arjuna, although Videharaj, Janak Maharaj, he's also known as Nimi. So Nimi is a generic word, and Janak is a specific word. So he, although being situated in a very high transcendental platform, but he still performed his duty and he achieved perfection. For what purpose? One purpose, to set up an example for others. Lok Sangraham evapi, sampashyam kartumarasi. So that is why you should also perform your duty. You should not run away from the battlefield saying, although I'm on a jnana level, I have nothing to, I don't have any duties to perform. Krishna is saying, even if you're situated on that level, you should still work. Why? To set up an example. Lok Sangraham evapi. Otherwise, people look at you, oh, Arjun did not perform his duty when the time came, so I can also run away. And that's why the example will come, 321, which we'll not read today. Yad yad achriti seshta tat tat evetaro jana sayat pramanam kurte lokastad anuvartate. So the principle, so Krishna is preparing the background here. So saying, even if you're in that situation, you must perform your duty, because by performing duty, you set up a right example for the people. Because for you, it doesn't matter, you perform the work or you don't perform the work, right? Because you're situated in that level. So even if you're that, you have that qualification, you should perform. Don't choose the other mark. Why you should choose this marga of performing the duties without attachment? Because that will set up a right example. And that is very important. We cannot look ourselves in an isolation. We live in a community, we live in a family, we live in an environment where we look at each other, right? And we get influenced by each other. So even if you're very highly qualified, you should perform your duties. Now 321, I'll open, I'll not read it, but just for the reference purpose, because this is also one of the very famous verses. Yeah, there's Achriti says so, because if you perform your duties correctly, normal people will follow you. If you perform your duties incorrectly, although it may not be incorrect for you, then normal people will look at you and perform the duties incorrectly. And then one example that comes to my mind, Lord Ram banishing Mother Sita is a big subject matter, but for Lok Sangraha, for setting up a right example, that's what Lord Ram's word was, he did that act. Okay, so let's stop here. We'll start from 321 next time. It's a little bit big verse. We'll spend some time. Any quick questions in next 2 minutes or so? Everyone is happy, finishing up the class, no more questions. Okay, nice. Sumit Prabhu, any announcement?
No, Prabhuji, I think there's no particular announcement.
Okay. So next class, as I said in the beginning, will also be online because 24th is Ekadashi and there is some program. I'm sure some of the devotees here are also going to that program. Just looking at the calendar. So 20th, we'll have an online class and then following week, we'll start having our regular classes. So I guess 31st is North Sydney, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And 7th, like that, okay? Okay, nothing else from my side. Let's hope for nice Krishna conscious rest of the week for all of you. And we'll see you in the temple sometime. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.